Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Timberborn, episode 2. In the last episode, we basically had a crash course in how I start my beavers, which is a funny thing to say. But we left off last time with making some essential buildings, water, gathering, etc. And if you remember at the end of the episode, I talked about getting it to like the next level, if you will. As you see, just as we jump back into the episode, I'll just let this run a little bit. Our farmhouse is done, and we have one worker because one of our young beavers grew up literally as soon as I think it might have even been before I hit the record button. And they automatically went into here. Now, because we're not building tons of things right now, I could take a worker from here to put into this, which I want to do. And you can prioritize your farmhouse to a certain type of crop, which there's only 3, and you can prioritize, or you hit none, and then it'll just do it at, I'm not sure if it does the slower ones first. I don't know. But for now, we're just doing carrots, so it's irrelevant. And you can prioritize the action to harvesting or planting. I always have harvesting because as soon as something is ready to be harvested, I want it harvested and put in the storage bin or the small warehouse. I don't want to leave things. I don't know when you would prioritize planting. Maybe in the beginning like this, but nothing's growing yet. But we do have a field here, and while we're kind of chatting about this, I want to put in another field of carrots. We'll leave, actually, I don't want to, you got to be careful here because you got this green space. I want to leave a space here. I'm going to put in a big plot of carrots here. Let's put a path all the way around them. Eventually, I don't know if I end up deleting this or not, because the one cool feature of the game is you can research, now where is it under? It's under landscaping. You can research dynamite. Now dynamite basically is what it sounds like. You can come in here, place a stick of dynamite, or it actually looks like a little basket of dynamite, and you blow it, and because we're at like water level here, it'll remove this block. And say you have a whole string of them lined up, it'll remove all of them. The water physics in the game are a little sketchy, but they're not terrible. Like when we removed this barrier, the water went into here. But as you see, the water isn't flowing, which we're going to get to power in a second. And I'm going to show you why putting a power wheel in here would not make sense. Just like if you have one strip of water coming in here, you couldn't power that because the water has to flow. It has to exit somewhere. One neat way to do it over here just by scouting the map is if you could eventually dig out a whole area that goes like this and goes right back to here, which that would require, I don't know, probably a few hundred dynamite. And we're not anywhere near that because you need paper for that to make explosives. And for paper, you just need a lot of things. So we're not anywhere near there yet. But I just want to say there is ways to manipulate the landscape. And while we're in the landscape menu, you have various things to control the water. You have levees, which completely block it up to a certain level. You have a floodgate, which you can adjust the height. You have a double floodgate and triple for the same reasons, just for deeper water. And then you have your explosive factory, which kind of is weird that it's in landscaping, but it is. So the first thing you can do is a dam. And I like to put a dam in. Let's put it here. And you will get a tip here saying the construction site is too far from builders. Build more paths. Now, that means that this will never get built unless it's on a path. Now, these work a bit differently because it has to build this one first before it can build this one because they can't walk on this. Now, one little trick is, actually, I can't research it. I don't have science, which we're going to do any second here. These are the dams, and you can put paths on top of them. They need paths to cross to get over to there. But the beavers can't cross until they're all built. Paths are free because they're kind of ghost pasted down here for the time being. But the idea behind this dam is you see how low the water is, but you see the level here. Whoops. Yeah, you can only zoom in to hold it. You can't keep it at that. That X, the water level will rise to that height, which means all of this will get higher up. Now, that's good in the sense of that when the drought comes, the water will have that much more of a chance to stay when the river dries up than if it didn't. Because if you wouldn't have any dam here, when the drought comes, all this would just wash away. But a dams water as well as you think it would. Now this is obviously a lower area, so if you could work your way down here and dam this off, this pool of water, especially this one, will last for a lot longer. But again, it takes many. You can't just run a path to here. The game mechanics don't work like that, which makes sense. In real life, in a sense, you're not going to have a worker running all the way down here to place items. You're going to want to have a little town there. And there are things up in here like this, which this water level is actually this level here. So if you find a way to break this or flood this, because you have a huge tall, I don't know, ravine, I guess here. If you dam this up, all of this will flood. And it's very easy to figure out what will flood, because anything lower than this level will flood. This will come up to here, this will flood around, and eventually will come down into here. Now, that can be, you can work that for your advantage or your benefit, or it could really screw you up. You could flood this whole thing, but you got to do it carefully, because you could end up ruining things. Anyway, we're just going to let the beavers run. Now, right now, the only thing that they're building is this. And as you see, they're building one to the next to the next. And the way that the water mechanics work, let's see if I slow it down, if it makes more sense. So over here, the water is kind of dead. But here, the water is flowing faster than here, because they're building. This one's almost finished. Are they going to get done before nightfall? I don't know. They won't. But as you keep building dams, the water will, you can see it already. The water is flowing faster through the middle than it is over here. I don't know if you can really see that. But here it's kind of dead. Once it's completed and we start having adjustable floodgates, it'll make a lot more sense. But the next thing on the list that I wanted to tackle, as I was saying in the last episode, and for you new subscribers or watchers, welcome. I'm hoping this Timberborn series gets some good numbers, because it is a fun game, and it's very easy to pick up. It's hard to master after the first drought. Or I should say, it's easy. Once you make it through the first drought and you know kind of what you're doing, it's a lot easier. But those droughts, let me tell you, they really worry me. And as you see here, one of our workers, or one of our kids, grew up. So the only spot we have to put him is here. And that's fine, because I kind of dump my unemployed workers places that don't really, like, you don't need them, like, for right now. And I'm actually going to put down a couple more tanks, because I don't know the cycles of when the drought comes. It just says forecast unknown. I don't think you ever know the forecast, but it will give you warning. I think it's 3 days before the drought comes, but you want to have plenty of water. Food is doing good. We don't have any carrots yet because they're not done, but in they're at around 45%, 48%. When each one of these squares is going to give us 3 carrots, and this is 1, 2, 3, 6 by 10. There's probably 180 carrots here, probably 100 here. So that's good for them. And now we're just gonna let these guys build. And we actually, you know what? I want to mark these trees for demolition. Now I don't know if this flag will reach that. It reaches most of the way. And can I put a priority on that? I don't know if I can. I don't think I can put a priority. Oh, you can't. Okay. And the berries are gathering now. We're almost out of berries here, or we are out of berries. So this guy, he's kind of idle. No, is he doing something? Well, he's working as a transporter, because the berries aren't, like, to here. I don't want to come up here yet because we don't have the steps and blah, blah, blah. So I'm not a big fan of the berries. They're fine in the beginning, but, you know, whatever. Okay, here's a better view when I was talking about how the water mechanics work, water physics. So this is all dammed off, which means this level is theoretically higher than here. So you see how fast the current is moving through here, because it's dammed up. There's dead water, but that water has to go somewhere. All of a sudden, it shoots around the corner. Now, that doesn't change anything as far as how the game is played, in a sense. Except you need your water wheels need to be in current. But you can make your own. This is, I think, if you start building out in here, you're making your own kind of rivers. You have to figure out how to get the current right to put power in there, which from another playthrough that I did, you can kind of cheat it a bit, which if we get that far, I'll show you how I did that. It's not breaking the game. It's just a little bit cheaty, as you would think. So let's let these guys sleep. and then see what I want to do. Now, the population, because we are at 12 for 12 for housing, this population will never increase. And eventually these beavers are going to start to die off. So right now we don't need additional beavers, but we will because we want to start building. Oh, good. They're going to harvest down here. Let's actually put a path down here. Let's just connect this path for them because I believe they will use a path if there is a path. Now, these obviously aren't, which is kind of annoying, but I think it's... I think the builders use paths. They have to. But gatherers don't. I think based on what that looks like, that seems to make sense. And right here, if you see idle beavers look like this, they're idle. There's one standing right there, or there are two there, and there's one. Because he has nothing to do. He's idle. Because the crops aren't ready, and there's nothing to be... actually, I'm sorry. So farmhouse workers, they won't be delivery people. They will just be idle. So again, you can really micromanage them and say, when the crops are growing, there's nothing for them to do, kick them out of here, put them somewhere else. But I rarely do that. I don't really find much of a benefit. And as you see here, the water levels come up and the current is a lot slower. Now, once these are all built, this will all equalize and the current will return because the same amount of water is coming down. We're just damming it up. See how it's dammed up now, or is how it's a lot higher? You can actually build stakes here, depth markers, which I don't really found that much of a use for them. It just basically measures the current level of the water, and it also can measure the maximum or the top height of the water. I'm not sure when you would. I guess if you're trying to figure out how much water is going to remain after the drought hits, I don't know. I don't mess with that too much. Are these getting built? Yeah, they are. This is priority for them because I started it first. I don't really need to come over here yet. And the second thing is if you click on your district center here, I'll slow it down. It'll show you how far your paths work. Now here we're fine because they will go from this bright green to this faded green to this yellow to a dark yellow to orange to red. And if it reaches red, it'll eventually end, which means your little town can't go past that. You can't build things where it'll be associated with the town, no matter what it is. So it kind of doesn't work both ways, or doesn't work like you have to start making other districts, which we'll get into later on. We don't need that at the moment. Okay, so they're doing their little beaver thing. I just want to, I guess we can probably start laying out some power. Now, I find power, it can be frustrating, but it's also fun. Now, you have power wheel, which takes a worker, which is good in a drought if you need the power. Now, if there's no water, then I've never really used these. Plus, they only produce 50 horsepower. These produce 180, and they're passive. But these things need direct lines to hook up. So I can actually put it here and try to let's see how we got to do this. So I'm going to put 2. And now, again, notice how there's a construction tooltip saying it won't reach. Well, all you got to do, actually, we have to do this first. I keep said this last time, and I want to get the inventor put down because we need to start getting, this is going to be priority number 1. Because we need to get science, and we need, oh, look at that. Do you see it down here? It says, your beavers are happier than ever. You have received a new well-being high score. If you click on gold, we've achieved 5, which is the nutrition. Comfort was housing. The hunger, thirst, sleep were just basic stuff. And now our first, extra one is nutrition. Or our second extra one, I guess, is nutrition, which is great, which means all the beavers are eating carrots. They're happy with the carrots. And they will again, used to be able to hover over this and it would tell you what the bonus is. But maybe they got rid of the bonuses. I'd have to look up the patch notes for that. Anyway, let's get the inventor built because I want to get that in for one reason. I want to get steps, which we also need planks for. So it kind of is irrelevant because they can't build this one anyway. But if you have a set of steps going into the water, the beavers will swim over and build. So it's a great way to save resources instead of putting platforms, which we don't have. Either you can put platforms that span the water, and then your beavers can access these things, but it's fine. All right, so what did we build? Okay, so the adventure is done. In the bottom left, it says building lacks workers. Now, again, these tooltips are good because if you click on it, it'll snap to it. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to kick a worker out of here. It's going to automatically go into that. And you get 3 science per, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know how this actually, like, I don't know what the timing is. I guess if you sit here, it's 1 per second. So every 100 seconds you get 3. I don't know the exact, like, the numbers. But anyway, all we need is we need 70. But the thing is we also need planks, which we don't have planks. Let's build this a bit. These are all done, which is good. And I need to get planks going. So let's build a lumber mill. Now, this is where things get tricky. You need to have power hookups. Now, on any building that it says there on the tooltip, it says lumber mill, 1 worker and 50 horsepower of power. And then it tells you what, in the green box, it tells you what it does. It takes logs. 1 log mills it into 1 plank. So 1 to 1. So really good. And at the bottom, it tells you what you need to build that. But you need power. Now, there's no indicator on these buildings to show you where you can hook up power. But usually you can hook up power anywhere except where the arrow is. Or possibly in the front of the building. But I think it says anywhere where the arrow is. So any of those windows, any in the back. So there's, I think, 8 slots here. Now, if you drag this like... Oh, it's not going to do it because this isn't built. But you would get a little cog icon there. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to build it here. Yeah, we'll build it here. And this is going to, well, it's not going to have any indicator here, but it will eventually, it would say that there's no power. That's what we have to work on. And I could have butted it right up to this to save having to use a straight power shaft, but here we go. There it shows it. So the green is the placement of where it's going to be placed, and the blue is showing the cogs, I guess cogs or gears that are going to connect to each other. You can run a line of these. If you see here, it shows that this shaft has to be connected to a building. Or if you place it here, it does nothing, which makes sense. Here, the cogs, I could call them cogs. Should I be calling them gears? I don't know. Are on both sides. If you place that, any power from here will be put through this into here, which we can produce planks, which is kind of what we're going to, well, what we need. So I'm just going to let this run at fast speed for now. Excuse me, because I want to get this built. These all are going to go to maximum. This one is already on max. See, a water wheel takes 50 logs. It's so many logs. But you know what? It's a good thing. Because this is passive power. Just like the wind. Now, there are wind turbines, the windmills, which I don't really like. They cost so much resources for... I don't know, less power, but the benefit of these is they work when there's a drought. So if you have lumber mills and you have food mills running or whatever, they'll still run. Or the grills things, you don't need power, but like the other millings and stuff, you need power. These will produce that power. But again, meh. Can we build steps yet? We leave 70 signs. We have 27 signs, so no. And I actually want to start working on getting another couple people, a couple beavers. Now, housing, anything, let's see, how does it tell you here? Okay, so if something is labeled solid, that means other buildings can be built on its top, which basically means if it has this type of, like, I don't know, wood and moss, you can build on top of it. And that means you can build anything on top. You can build another house. You can build another storage. You can build, which we're going to end up getting one of these campfires up here. Well, if this would be big enough. I'm not going to place this yet, nor am I going to... Oh, your rooftop terrace you can put up top. But anything up top you need steps to, and we can't build steps, so we're just not going to do that right now. I'm just going to let this run. A lot of the game is basically a lot of waiting, as you'll see. Also, our little beavers here are harvesting. Now, even though... Oh, yes, right, sorry. If I would change this priority to planting, they would plant the rest of this before they'd harvest the rest of this. I don't like that. The way you could tag team it is if you have one farmhouse always planting and you have one always harvesting, and then when either of those jobs are done, they'll step in and help with the other one. But I've never found that to be necessary. You just make more farmhouses. But I really want to get 70 science. We have everybody, we have one unemployed. That's because one person grew up. So we're just going to put him here. When this gets built, this is going to be soon. Okay, here. Well, these are really neat when they kick on. Look at that. That's neat. So it spins, produces power. As long as it's in some sort of flow, it doesn't really dial down the power as far as I know. It's 180 horsepower regardless of the flow of the water, except if there's no flow, because it says river, in a river. This one they're not going to make because they can't, which is fine. I want them to get this and this made, which they're going to do right now. Because once these are made, we can get planks, which means then we can build stairs, and then we can build houses on top of houses, and we can continue on from there. And it's funny that this water tower still hasn't been built. Let's put it to medium priority. Or I guess first level priority, I don't know. And the beavers here, what is that? Oh, it looks like someone left a leftover carrot, which is funny. Here we go. Let's slow this down. Up in the top right, it says you get this like flash, and it does make a sound. I'm not sure if it picked it up on the sound, because I have my sound kind of down. The sound in music is a bit wonky in the game. But anyway, up here, 2.9 days, we're going to have a drought. Now, we should be good on food. Water, we're going to need more water. So I want to get these storage tanks built and actually cut this down to the next level, because I want these built. I want these built and I want them full. And because we do have a drought coming, as I said before, I don't actually, this is cycle 1 day 17. I think it lasts for 3 days maybe. I don't want to actually build any more housing, because the more beavers you have, the more food and the more water or resources that they will consume. And if you ever wonder what buildings aren't being built, you click on it and they'll tell you why. Right now it's logs. As you see, we don't have any logs. Our loggers here aren't busy. So one thing I am going to do, because our loggers can't reach this, it's out of range. The easy way to do that is you just build another lumberjack flag, right? And all you do is you do that, and you take one of these and you pause this. You don't get rid of it, you pause it, which kicks this worker out. It means when this gets built, which I don't think they'll do because it's nighttime, as soon as this gets built, this unemployed worker will go right here, and he'll start chopping all those trees, because otherwise, oh, that one just grew up. Once we get a forester in, though, this whole area is going to be turned into forest, and we could look at the different, there we go, the worker. We can put in the different type of trees, which I guess we could talk about now while these are building. To plant trees, you need a forester. You have birch trees that give you 1 log in 9 days. Pine gives you 2 in 12, or 6 for 1. And then you have maple, which gives you 8 logs in 24 days. So that's your best bang for your buck, because it's a 3-to-1, 3 days per log if you look at it that way. But that's 24 days. That's like we're only in cycle 1 day 15. So we would only have had enough to do birch. Now, pine is a good alternative because it's only 33% longer and you get double the resource. So I like to go with pine. But as it goes on, it's good to have maples, because it'd be really good after 24 days. You're going to get that huge like bonus of logs in a sense. You just have to be able to weather that, I guess. All right, so you got 1.1 days. Now, this will buy us some time because we do have the dam here. Now, you could put in a levee. Can I build levees? I can't. So a levee blocks all the water. So if you put a levee in here, all of this would flood, because the water level, the height is actually, where is it? Here. So basically, the level of the water will go all the way back to here, which this is up. Is it up 1 block? It's actually up. It's up 1 block. So because the water always seeks its own level. So this would fill, this entire area would flood because this is, yeah, because this isn't any, it's not dropping. This is irrelevant here. It would flood this whole area if we levied it. So we're not going to do that, because the water still has to flow, just like in real life. Water has to flow somewhere. I don't think we can actually, you know what? We can probably crank out a couple planks. Is there someone there? Because, I mean, if you realize you get a few planks in. Look at that. We actually are at 90 science. So let's go into pathing, and we want to make stairs. Now, I can't make stairs, but I can unlock it, because you need 4 planks, and we don't have 4 planks, so it shouldn't let me do that. Oh, sorry. You can build it. It just won't put it anywhere. So I'm actually just gonna. It won't do it because we don't have planks. I'm gonna delete that. Sorry. I'm actually gonna put the stairs here. And the lumber mill takes 50 horsepower. We're producing 180. So we could actually supply 3 of these buildings if we need it, which as time goes on, you will need it. Actually, I think I'm gonna put one more water tank. I don't know if it'll make before. I could try to make it produce. Priority. It should. Because, oh, I'm sorry. We're actually already in the drought. I totally missed the river drying up. But we can go back here. Look at that. This is all dry now. Now, the reason why this is green, which is probably why I didn't notice it, is because the dam is holding back water. Now, there's no way to tell how much water is here based on like a volume number. It doesn't give you that. Even here, it doesn't give you a volume. It's just one unit of water. Now, this will continue to pump until this is empty. Once this is empty from being pumped out, it also evaporates. Then this will turn into this. We may get lucky because this is, oh, right here it did it already, because this part dried up. Now, this section here, I've often found that this always kind of stays. Now, in a really long drought, it probably wouldn't. But it might be even neat to come in here, and I mean, you could really terraform and build a levee around all of this and let a little path of water through. I mean, there's lots of terraforming you can do in the game later on in the game. And right here it says we have no power because the water, even though there's water here, the water's not moving because we have the dam here. So the water it doesn't go anywhere because there's no current. So basically this guy right here is unemployed. If I'd have another task that needs to be done, which I don't, these carrots are at 85%. These should mature before the water goes away. Now, another smart way to do it is you could put a dam here as well. So the water would stay in here longer, and when you would pump this water out, this would drop and this would stay. Again, it depends on how you want to do it. Now we're at 96% because the problem with crops is if they're not at 100% grown, when it turns into this, they'll die. You don't get it back. But these are producing, look at that, they're already harvestable. And these are at 98%, these are at 86%, so we should be okay. Because once we pump all the water out or it evaporates, this is all going to go, barren like this. It's not like it does it gradually, like real slow. It'll be like whoop, and then it's gone. Which again is fine. It doesn't really matter. Did we end up making any planks? No, we didn't. But we have an abundant amount of food, and we have a decent amount of water. So I'm not overly concerned. But because we're basically in a holding pattern, look at that. That's so cool how those come in. If you do it at a slower speed, it won't look the same. Can we zoom in any more on these beavers? No, we can't. Look at them harvesting those little carrots with their little beaver hands. I love the animations. But since we're kind of in the middle of this drought, we're kind of at a standstill. We can't do anything. We don't have any planks, etc. We're going to end the episode here, and we're going to catch you next time. So please comment, like, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next episode.